And in the day's other news, the head of the U.S. Cyber Command says that the country will have to do more to deter Russian interference in future elections. Admiral Mike Rogers also leads the National Security Agency. At a U.S. Senate hearing today, Rogers told Rhode Island Democrat Jack Reed that he would first need orders to strike back directly at Russian cyber attackers.
Have you been directed to do so, given the strategic threat that faces the United States and the significant consequences you recognize already?
No, I have not.
But you need the direct authority of the President through the Secretary of Defense
To do some specific things.
Specific authority.
There are some things I have the authority, and I am acting within that authority now, not waiting.
Rogers also warned that in the absence of stronger U.S. action, quote, President Putin has clearly come to the conclusion there's little price to pay here. But White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said later that, quote, nobody is denying Rogers the authority to act. There is word that North Korea may be helping Syria's government make chemical weapons. The New York Times reports a UN investigation found 40 suspect shipments from the north to Syria. It also said that North Korean missile technicians were spotted at Syrian chemical weapons sites. In turn, Pyongyang could get cash for its nuclear and missile programs. Meanwhile, the U.S. Special Representative on North Korea, Joseph Yun, made a surprise announcement that he's retiring after 30 years in the Foreign Service. He cited personal reasons. In Syria, Russia's call for a daily 5-hour truce collapsed today in rebel-held suburbs east of Damascus. War monitors and witnesses reported that the government kept up its airstrikes and artillery assault on eastern Ghouta. Some 400,000 civilians are caught in the onslaught.
They are targeting us, but we are not with a faction or group. We are all civilians. Why are they dropping the barrels on us? They terrified the children, destroyed homes. God, bring an end to this. What kind of a ceasefire is this? A plane has been circling all night.
The Syrians and their Russian allies blamed the rebels for the continued fighting. The King of Saudi Arabia fired his military chief of staff and other top defense officials overnight. It came in the face of the stalemated war in Yemen. In turn, younger officials were elevated in the shakeup, including the rare naming of a woman to a high-level post as deputy labor minister. Rare public dissent has surfaced in China against letting President Xi Jinping rule indefinitely. Open letters appeared overnight on social media, urging Chinese lawmakers to reject the proposal. One called it a return to an imperial regime. And in Hong Kong today, dozens of demonstrators held signs of Xi depicted as an emperor and a monarch to protest the changes. Back in this country, West Virginia public schools stayed closed in the 4th day of a statewide teacher strike. They say they are protesting low wages and rising health care costs. This afternoon, strikers were out in full force as union leaders met with the governor at the state capitol building in Charleston. The new chair of the Federal Reserve offered an optimistic view of the U.S. economy today. Jay Powell would not say if that means another interest rate hike is coming this year, beyond the 3 already projected. Instead, Powell told a House hearing that his personal outlook of the economy has improved.
We've seen continuing strength in the labor market. We've seen some data that will, in my case, add some confidence to my view that inflation is moving up to target. We've also seen continued strength around the globe, and we've seen fiscal policy become more stimulative.
That policy stimulation includes the new tax overhaul and greatly increased government spending in the budget deal. On Wall Street, the Fed chair's testimony revived fears that any interest rate hikes will hurt stock prices. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged 299 points to close at 25,410. The Nasdaq fell 91 points, and the S&P 500 lost 35.